So what do you think of this? Isn't this beautiful? Here we are standing at the north shoulder of Pocket Mountain in Granite, New Hampshire, which is part of Ossipee. Overlooking the beautiful Ossipee Valley. There's so much here. And over here, closer to us, we have the Great Ossipee Mountains, the subject of this film. Now, everyone says Ossipee Mountains. I call them Ossipee Mountain, singular, because that's one mountain. However, it erupted 3 times. It's a volcano. And if you look from the air, you can see that it's a very circular mountain. It's about 10 miles in diameter, and it's about 40 miles around the base. It's a very large system of hills. You can see Mount Shaw, the highest one there. That's about 3,200 feet up. Over on the far edge over here, we have Mount Whittier, Nickerson Hills, and there's all kinds of other hills in there, but they're all one mountain. This mountain is rather famous around the world because it exhibits some things that no other mountains have. It's called the mountain with a ring dike. The ring dike was the second lava flow. This whole overlaying granite layer of rock is called Conway granite because it happens really only in Carroll and Belknap counties. Now, you've got to understand how a volcano works. Below us, 25, 30 miles down, we have molten magma, liquid rock. And when there's a fracture in the surface of the earth, which happened here 100 million years ago, we have an eruption. Now, this mountain is not high at all right now. But at one time, it was probably over 10,000 feet, just like the beautiful cone of Vesuvius in Italy or Mount Fuji in Japan. This mountain exploded, got worn down. Here's what's left. We have the first eruption happening about 100 million years ago. Then we have this big cone forming. That cone went back down into the earth the same way it came up. Then 10 million years later, 90 million years ago, we have this different kind of a granite. If we call Conway granite the gray rock, granite type A, then we have the second type of granite, which is black. We'll call that granite type B. This came up very quickly and coated the whole inside of that cone. So the ring dike, it's a coating. This is what I wanted to make clear. 80 million years ago, we have the third eruption. Now, it's beginning to weather. Wind, rain, erosion, soil movement, rock breakup, it goes down into sand, which is in the middle of the valley. Now, if you look at this whole system here, you'll see that the back end, or the west side of the mountain there, is a lot higher than the east side. Probably because there may have been a very gassy eruption, which pushed away the east side of the mountain. Center Ossipee is right on that eastern edge. Now that I've shown you what's out here and explained to you how the 3 eruptions have happened in the Great Ossipee Mountains, I really want to go there and look at it. There's 2 spots which are really kind of phenomenal. One is over the Canaan Valley Road in which we go over the edge of the caldera. Okay, that's the volcano. Another good spot is to go up to South Tamworth, just off Route 25. There is a creek called Cold Brook, runs down from the hills and actually cuts right across this 5-foot wide, dark granite type B, and you can see the granite right in the ground. Unbelievable. Come with me. We'll go have a look. Before we get to Canaan Valley, I want to show you a couple of neat places. The first is Connor Pond on the eastern side of the caldera. We're ascending Pine Hill Road. After a few miles, the pavement ends. I'm standing here on the shore of Rattlesnake Pond. In the background is the northeast edge of the caldera. 2 to 3 more miles up the dirt road brings us to Connor Pond. This is a gas vent, typical of these ponds up in the Ossipee Mountains here. When the earth burps in a volcanic eruption, this is what it leaves behind. This pond is known for its beautiful deep water fishing, its private shores, and its deep depth. It's about 60 feet and clear right to the bottom. Now this pond is so clear because of its elevation. It sits at almost 900 feet above sea level. There's no debris in the pond. Here we are at Dan Hole Pond inside the southeast corner within the caldera. This beautiful pond is really a picture postcard, and it's very, very deep. At 200 feet, it's as deep as Lake Winnipesaukee. It's also high in elevation. It does not have any debris, just like Connor Pond. You know, there's a tale. A few decades ago, maybe a couple of generations, there were 2 boys who went out in a rowboat here, and the boat came back empty. One of the boys' bodies was found, but the other boy was never found. And a few years later, a deep-line fisherman caught a snag on the bottom, and he pulled it up, and it was a body part. And on this body part, there was a sock, and I think a shoe. Now here we are arriving at Canaan Valley, going up Canaan Road from 171 over the edge of the caldera. This drive over the edge is a pretty dramatic scene here. You're going right over the edge into Canaan Valley. And here we go. Hang on. Oh boy, down the hill. Really kind of exciting. Into the flatlands of the bottom of the caldera. You know, these roads that come down here into the Canaan Valley are they're kind of dead ends. They don't have any outlet. And they go past these beautiful farms and homes, and it's very peaceful and quiet up here at the bottom of the caldera. Here we are inside the caldera. This is Canaan Valley. It's a flat area near Dan Hole Pond, which was one of the vents that got the gases out of the 3rd eruption. Those hills right there represent the 3rd eruption. The 2nd eruption is back there. That's the ring dike, And the first eruption is on the other side of that. And on our way out of Cannon Valley, we have a good view of Mount Shaw. And now we're on our way to Cold Brook up in South Tamworth. At the blinker light of Route 25, just go up Mountain Road, and we're there. After a drive up Mountain Road into the caldera, we turned the car around and came down by the brook here. Well, I told you I was going to show you the dike in Cold Brook in South Tamworth. This is it. And it goes right through here. If you look closely, I'll give you an idea of what's going on here. You can see this rock. This is our granite type B. This is the B. The red rock under the bridge, that also goes up there next to the dike. And that's granite type A. And over here, we have the split that runs right through here. This is granite type A. This is B. That's A. It's hard to see, but here you can see it. It gets kind of mixed up. There's several metamorphic changes which have gone on the moment it happened. And since it was hot and liquid at one time, it kind of flowed wherever it wanted. But it is a coating on the inside of the caldera. And we're at the edge of the caldera right now. You can see the difference. I'm standing right on the dike. I can't believe it. It's a line right through the water. If you look at this granite here, it's another good shot of A and B. This is granite A. Here's the line. It goes right through there. This is the granite B. This is the ring dike. It goes under there. It's really all over, even though you can see vague divisions between the A and the B. It's all over. Probably took about a day, maybe 2 days, for this all to cool, which is a lot shorter than thousands of years it took the Conway granite mantle that we see around us to cool. You know, if you can see this stretch of black rock that I'm standing on, this is granite B. It goes underwater. It goes right up in there. It's just another band of this ring dike business. It's very clear here, and we can see the edges. Again, it's about 5-10 feet thick. Now, what I'm going to do here is take one of these big chunks of the ring dike, granite B, smash it against another big chunk of B, which has equal hardness, and see if I can get this knife edge for you. You got to see this. This is going to be tough. Here we go. Whoa! I'm looking for that beautiful knife edge. Let's try again. Some slippery rocks, boy. We gotta watch our step. 1, 2, 3. I did it. Wow. Very, very, very sharp. This is the material in the Ossipee Mountains, which has become so famous among Native Americans, as they use this rock to manufacture knives, bird points, spearheads, and they traded with them all the way down to the coast of Maine. From there, they went up and down the coast. So now you know about the grain of granite B compared to granite A. Granite A is crystalline, not very good. And granite B is deadly, cooled very quickly. Like I said before, probably a day or two it took to cool this whole ring dike business. Pretty fascinating. You know, on my way back from Cold Brook up in South Tamworth, we decided to stop here. We're on a very busy highway. This will be a stopover point for anybody who wants to visit, visually observe our wonderful Ossipee Mountains and talk to some very influential people who are part of the Conservation Commission and the Dan Hole Watershed Trust.
My name is Elizabeth Gillette. I'm chairman of the Ossipee Conservation Commission, and I'm also a member of the board of directors of the Green Mountain Conservation Group.
Super.
And my name is Bob Pratt. I live in Center Ossipee. I'm also a member of the Ossipee Conservation Commission and president of the Dan Hole Pond Watershed Trust, which is trying to preserve conservation land in Tuftonboro and Ossipee area.
Now, Liz, why is it so important that we're here?
Well, we're here at a site that's a site in progress. We are standing on land that's permanently conserved as conservation open space. The Ossipee Conservation Commission mounted an 18-month effort to raise $250,000 to buy this key roadside acreage to protect the view of the Ossipee Mountains.
I remember getting the mail.
Well, my fellow colleagues and I worked very hard on this. But we also wanted to protect this early successional forest for wildlife habitat. And when we're finished, hopefully in 18 months to 24 months, we'll not only have a scenic pull-off on this stretch of Route 16 where visitors who travel by can pull off, admire the view, and learn about this key part of the Ossipee area. We'll also have a nature trail where people can get close to early successional forest and find out its role in conservation.
It's important to know that here in Ossipee, we all work together for conservation. I'm a member of the Conservation Commission, and Elizabeth is a member of the Dan Hole Pond Watershed Trust. The Commission purchased this Windows property, and our trust holds a conservation easement on the property, which will ensure that it is never developed in the future so that the forest and wildlife will continue. But we also are focusing on preserving land in this southern side of the Ossipee Mountains, including Tuftonboro and Ossipee, and we have about 150 members who support our efforts.
Liz, have you any thoughts on really what it took to get here where we are now?
Well, the Ossipee Conservation Commission had tremendous support from local residents, from local businesses, from local organizations, from our town selectmen, from the county, from the Lakes Region Planning Commission, from area conservation groups, and also from the State Department of Transportation. I think it's a win-win project.
Bob, tell me about the watershed here. I understand the Ossipee watershed is pretty big.
Well, it's very, very large, and the aquifer that we're standing on right now covers the area from Madison all the way down to Wakefield, and the mountains behind us are really the western edge and feeding the water from the streams into this aquifer, which kind of links our efforts on preservation of the mountain land.
Rather like a big funnel.
Right, in order to preserve the water quality here in the along the Route 16 area. And we should know that the Green Mountain Conservation Group has been leading an effort in these 6 towns to preserve the aquifer.
Liz, I wanted to ask you, what do you think is the future for this spot we're in right now?
I think the future is fantastic because not only will you get a great view, you can take some great pictures, but you'll also have a chance to learn about what is a watershed and why the Ossipee watershed is so special. The other special thing about this site is we hope that when people stop, enjoy the view, learn about the watershed, that they'll spend a little time in Ossipee because we've got a great place here, and besides a covered bridge, scenic views, nice trails, it's a great place to spend some time. So come back in 2 years and we hope we'll have the scenic pull-off and the trail for everyone to enjoy.
Bob, I want to thank you for coming by and telling us about the watershed up there in wonderful Roland Park. And I want to thank you, Liz. Both of you, I think, are very important in this project and to disseminate information on this wonderful spot.
John, we've just come back from a wonderful journey here today and to that gorgeous mountain back there, which you've called Ossipee Mountain.
Yes.
The maps call it Ossipee Mountains.
Well, that's my own feeling, I think. I want to make sure that everyone knows that it's one big, gigantic mountain, but it's erupted as a volcano 100 million years ago 3 times. And the remains here, what we have of a very high, one time very high peak, this is what's left. And it's all there for us to see. And
there are some summits in there, aren't there? Different summits, and one of them I've heard often people climb to the top of Mount Shaw, for instance, one of the highest peaks in there.
Mount Shaw is right in the middle. It's the highest peak, and I believe that's about 3,200 feet, Joe. There's no wheels that really can carry you up there. It's got to be Shank's mare.
You have to walk it up.
Yes.
John, in our adventures today, we touched upon 4 different places. We were able to drive in there, and we could see on the map that none of the roads go all the way through the mountain.
No.
Each one goes to a specific place. We started at Connor Pond, and maybe you could tell us each of those 4 places we went to, anything significant about them?
I think, they're very significant. Those 4 places are places that we can all go. And I wanted to say that both those ponds, Connor Pond and Dan Hole Pond, from where we looked at it in Roland Park, are not very large lakes or ponds, but they have very deep, deep bottoms. And this is because they were originally volcanic vents. So the lakes, like this, have these wedges of water that go down as far as 200 feet in Dan Hole Pond. And I've measured Connor Pond, which is 60 feet deep, and you can see the bottom. That's how clear this water is, this high alpine water. It's very clear.
People have used like fish finders.
Oh, yes,
and
yes.
everything, and dropped a line or whatever.
These aren't just sandy, mucky bottom ponds. These are special.
Special volcanic lakes.
They're vents. They're gas vents.
Yes.
And then we also went to Colebrook up in South Tamworth. And there, underneath the bridge, is exposed the physical ring dike. It's literally 5 to 10 feet across, and it represents this granite type B, which is a darker granite than granite type A, which is lighter.
What a beautiful brook that was, too. It was fun to climb around on those rocks. As slippery as they
slippery
were.
they were,
It didn't drop the camera in the water.
No, nothing happened.
Nothing happened. And you didn't mention Canaan, the road up to Canaan over the lip of the volcano.
We did
went up
go
there.
Yes, that was that's a pretty awe-inspiring spot, because you go right over the lip of the caldera into the bottom of the volcano.
Absolutely.
Yeah, into the flatlands. It's good farmland down there. Volcanic soil is always good.
You know, it's a shame these days that the trees are there, though. It's hard to see things. Back in the early 1800s, when they had all the sheep in New Hampshire and no trees.
That's right.
Wouldn't the views have been gorgeous? Well, John, before we go here, what sort of a message should we leave with the viewer as to what they can do about all this beauty up here? A lot of people that I talk to haven't been to these places. And in fact, today was the first time that I had been to Cold Brook. Connor Pond, I hadn't been up there. There's a lot of camps, a lot of people that are up there in the summer and so forth. I've been up to Roland Park and up to the overlook of Dan Hole Pond, but I hadn't really been up to the place that we overlooked.
I think...
are those roads open to the public, and can anybody go up there?
Yeah. The road, of course, is public, but, the land is all private. Access is difficult. But you can certainly go in and look. The creek is everybody's creek. You can see that.
Yeah, by that little bridge.
Right.
Yes.
I think the real important thing here is just to understand the whole physical being of the mountain. It's there for us to honor, I guess is the term. To see it. It's a unique geologic thing.
It's different than Mount Washington.
Mount Washington is a whole other world.
Yes, and different from Chicorowa.
Yeah.
And thousands of people travel up and down Route 16 and Route 28 and come up and through Ossipee, and they look at that mountain out there and they have no idea that it's a volcano.
No, that's right.
And it didn't blow up on us while we were up there either. I think it's safe enough.
That's good. Yes, that's good.
Well, John, thank you so much for taking us out to the mountains today.
Oh, my pleasure.
And you know what? I would just encourage our viewers to hop in a car, get a map, and go on up into some of those places on the mountain. You'll be excited to see some of these places for yourself. They are accessible.
There's information out there that you can find on this. If you go to a website, punch in Ossipee Ring Dike, and you'll come up with all kinds of things.
Absolutely.
That's education.
Good
That's how you find out about these things. That's how I did it. So it's here for us.
Okay.